This is the Business Experience Show, where we connect those who want to know more about digital marketing, social media, and business strategy with entrepreneurs who are succeeding in today's marketplace. Follow our blog, join our online network, or connect with us at thebusinessexperienceshow.com. And now, your host, Lisa Caprelli.
Welcome to the Business Experience Show. Here with me is show producer Brian Gapps. As the voice of our show opening, Bruce Barker is here in spirit and in voice each week. And today he joins us in person as well. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Barker.
Oh, Lisa, Brian, you guys are too kind.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Bruce Barker. He does our show opening each and every week, and we are happy to talk with him, talk about his business experience.
Well, Bruce, you and I actually worked together a couple times when you voiced some commercials for me before we even met. And when we finally met, I expected this booming persona like a banker or CEO, but you're actually a bit of an everyman.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny you say that, Brian, because I am classified in the voice world because in addition to running a studio, which I'm sure we'll talk about, I do voice work, and I am classified, my voice type is sort of an everyman. You know, that sort of regular Joe thing where you talk about, hey, you know, come down to your local Vons or Safeway and, you know, buy some peaches.
When did you know you were going to use your voice to make a career?
You know, it was way back. I was in high school, and I was in a small town in Alaska, and they were looking for people to run television cameras for the evening news. It was a 2-camera studio, and they would have, you know, a couple of anchors and a typical evening news broadcast. Small town.
Right.
And so that was my first job, running one of the cameras. Well, after about a month, because this TV station happened to have a radio component to it as well in the same building. And they let loose with some memos saying, hey, we're looking for some possible new radio talent, you know, and if anybody's interested, you might want to give it a shot and whatever. It's kind of, you know, it was sort of like practice radio. It was an actual broadcast outlet, but it was a very small town in the middle of nowhere, which meant that there was a lot of amateur activity going on. So it was perfect because I was terrible.
And did that allow you to work on your craft as an artist?
It did. And so I did, you know, commercials in addition to doing a radio show, and that's kind of where it started in high school.
And it sounds like with anything, it was important enough for you to put perfection and time into making yourself better.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, being in the middle of nowhere, there wasn't many. I always think that modeling after other people that are successful is a great way to you know, get yourself kind of up to that next step. Well, in terms of a sound, about all we had that was coming from, you know, big-time commercial radio in the real world was Casey Kasem's American Top 40. And so for a very long time, I sort of had this Casey Kasem thing going that was all like that.
You said you're quite shy in private, so why get into radio and media?
Good question, and I think the answer will be beguilingly simple. When you're on radio, you are actually hidden from real people because you're effectively just generating a persona.
Very true.
Yeah, and so you're, in a lot of sense, you know, you see the guys like on sports radio that'll have cameras pointed at them during, you know, on ESPN, for instance, they'll have, you know, cameras that are aimed at them where you can watch the radio show. Howard Stern did this for many years, and I think they still do, actually, where you can watch them do the radio show, but they're actually doing a radio show, but it's on TV. Of course, that's the public side of anybody that wants to be there. I was quite comfortable just sitting behind a microphone. Nobody could see me. The only time I would ever deal with the public was, you know, taking phone calls. And so, you know, you create this persona that may or may not be real.
Very true. And I love doing radio myself, and I'm very comfortable behind the microphone after all these years. When I first started, I wouldn't have said that, you know, but the world doesn't know. And then you grew up quite shy.
Yeah, I did. And really to this very day, I am. It's not particularly easy for me to make friends. I don't have the gift of small talk, you know, at a party or something or other. You know, it's like, well, let's talk about the weather. Oh, yeah, that guy wants to talk about the weather.
So you're in radio and TV in small town, and at some point you decided to come to Los Angeles. How did you adapt?
You know, the adaptation of it in terms of a lot of ways was really easy because, for one thing, I just wanted to be warm. I came from up north, and so, you know, moving to L.A., one thing you do is you you finally get some heat. You get to see what that's like. In terms of adapting to radio, it was vastly different. In fact, it took me about a year to get back into radio because the competition here, this is like, the number 2 market for talent in the nation and for listenership as well in terms of number of people. So you got to be good here. And so it took about a year. In the meantime, I was playing in a rock and roll band to sort of pay the rent, make ends meet. We were playing 7 nights a week. And finally got a job on radio doing overnights in Ventura County and slowly worked up from there.
Your talent at the voice level is just amazing to me. To hear you speak in the same line in different voices really struck me when we first worked together. So I've got a little line here, and I just want you to read the same line, and I want you to try it in just a few different voices here, and tell us which one it is, and then...
And by the way, you're listening to Bruce Barker. His website is rightafterthis.com.
And by the way, that site is the very fact that most radio, a lot of television, if it's live, will go, we'll be back right after this.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if we can do this as a sales pitch. Oh, man, I do so many car commercials. The common denominator I find that CEOs and business owners need is more content. That's more like used cars. But, a lot of that stuff is really shouty. So, Brian, I guess for a professor teacher, I'd probably be more, it's sort of pedantic. You're sort of explaining, one word to the next, as if, somebody is getting all this for the very first time. The common denominator I find that CEOs and business owners need is more content. Now, I'm pulling that straight from the fact that, in fact, I'm a little raspy because for about 3 hours this morning...
Yeah, that wasn't really good.
I know. But for several hours this morning, we were hooked up with Ireland on a connection. They're doing it's a production studio in Ireland that is doing, oddly, some educational material for the Texas school system.
Okay.
And so for hours, I'm sitting there and reading this morning just these simple math problems.
You're really good. Do another one because you're just amazing.
This will be the friendly neighbor. This is the guy next door who hopefully isn't stealing your newspaper.
Okay.
The common denominator I find that CEOs and business owners needs is more content. Simple as that. Should I do a surfer? I know it's listed here.
Yes.
Well, dude, look, the common denominator, it's funny, there's this awe thing going like Redondo Beach. I don't know why in surf talk, but the common denominator I find that CEOs and business owners need is like more content. Huh.
You're natural. You have something going on there. I want some of it.
It's funny. I don't do that much, though, voice work in terms of video games, animation, that kind of stuff. I feel I would be good at it, but, like so much in whatever our fields are,
right.
You got to bust your hump to get in there,
right.
And there's a lot of closed doors, which, of course, is the case with any business.
I'm very happy and proud of your success based on your story and you telling us about your background. I mean, that's just really amazing. You really have a true talent, and that's why you do our show opening, and that's why we have you here on the Business Experience Show. Bruce Barker.
Well, thank you, Lisa. I'm jazzed that it's worked out as well, because really about 10 years ago, I broke away from full-time radio and went for voice work, opened, a studio in North Hollywood, and it just grew and grew, and now we've got the entire floor of an office building. You've seen it.
Yes.
And branched into video about 3 years ago, so we do TV commercials as well as radio and infomercials and stuff like that. So it's a lot of good connections. I've gotten lucky a few times, but a lot of it, is just the plain old hard work thing that you hear about everywhere. It's hard to avoid that hard work because without it, you're not going to get where you want to be, I think.
And I want to talk about the studio in North Hollywood. You've got like state-of-the-art recording equipment. You've got a soundproof recording booth. You've got multiple microphones set up, video stage, got everything there.
Well, yeah, and Brian, that may be your kind way of saying I have too much stuff. And so there's a huge turnover of equipment and knowledge. Just you're always sort of studying up for the next thing.
Well, it's a digital age, and so you can handle that. What are some of the types of productions you've done with rightafterthis.com?
Well, let's see, anywhere from, you'll hear commercials on this station that we've done there, as well as, just recently we did a TV commercial for UCLA Medical Center that aired on KABC Channel 7. I think there's one that's currently airing for a financial company on Bloomberg and CNBC, MSNBC. So it's pretty varied.
So TV commercials, radio commercials, you've done a web series there.
Yeah. And we actually continue to do our in-house web series on drag racing. that started many years ago, and it's a 1-hour TV show that's delivered to the web, but it's a full 8-camera shoot, and it's what you've
How
seen.
fun
the
that
studios.
is, yes.
Yeah. And it is fun. We're approaching, I think, our 11th year as an audio broadcast podcast, but it's also approaching its 8th year as a video, a TV show at the same time. So, man, we were working there when it was like dial-up. It's crazy.
And you get to combine some of your passions because you're a car guy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, in fact, I drove a '58 Ford here to the studio, so I'm glad it made it, and it'll make it back too.
So when you're out and dealing with people and other businesses and they find out what you do people then come to you saying, oh, I want to have my own thing, or can you help me in this direction, since you have like a proven model?
Yeah. The worst part with any of this in a town this size is that, especially with LA being kind of a showbiz city,
Yes.
is that a lot of people are already doing this.
Yeah.
So you're just sort of duking it out all the time to try to, give a potential client a good price on what they're looking for without underpricing yourself and saying, well, gee, now how do I can't pay the rent. at the end.
But you have the experience behind you. How many years have you been doing this?
Yeah, over 30 now, although in
Yeah.
TV it's probably 10, to be honest.
That's great.
You've got a quote here that I really liked. It says, I'm living proof that you can come from a teensy town in the middle of nowhere and actually make a living as an entrepreneur, even in a field saturated by other talented people doing similar work. Hard work and diligence really can pay off. Not always, but it's a great start.
Yeah, there's so many people here and everywhere that are talented at what they do. A lot of it's hard work. A lot of it is just kind of being in the right place at the right time. But I just feel I am one lucky guy. If I had one failing, I think it would be marketing. And we're all working on that, aren't we?
You could come to one of my workshops.
I
Bruce.
will.
No, I really love helping people. And my background is marketing and teaching them how to use modern technology and skills, many of them free.
Yeah.
And a lot of times business owners, they just need someone to push them in that direction and help them accountable. And that's what I enjoy doing. But the show is about you, Bruce Barker, with RightAfterThis.com.
Oh, bless your heart. I know it's sort of ironic being in marketing, and essentially I am. That's a lot of what we do at RightAfterThis.com
Sure.
is marketing, but
Yeah.
then wanting to improve our own marketing.
Right. Sometimes you need outside help.
Well, and that's what a lot of businesses face these days is not getting so caught up in their own business and servicing their clients. They don't necessarily do or perform the service they provide for themselves like they should be doing.
I think you're right. Yeah. What is it they say about the contractor whose home is the worst on the
Right,
block?
right.
Because he's always out, fixing everybody else's place.
Right, but one thing we all have to do as business owners is remember our dream. As an entrepreneur, don't forget to follow the dream that you want for yourself.
Yeah.
And I wanted to cover what a great resource you are right after this.com for video production, commercial production, things like that, because of the depth of talent that you bring, that you can fill all these different roles on a budget, really.
Yeah, well, thanks. And my wife, we are actually co-owners of the business, to be technically appropriate there. She has a film degree from Chapman University, so she is able to just set up these beautiful camera shots and everything for the video part of it.
What a great team. Thank you for sharing that.
It works so well. She is not the other half of the business. She is like the strong half, because I'm just doing what I do.
Right. So give some ideas for some business owners who want to take their message to the next level with what your company does, RightAfterThis.com.
Well, you know what? As we know, a web presence with video is really important.
Right.
So, and you can get web video done, whether it's at RightAfterThis.com or elsewhere. Just scope it out, see what you like online. You can get things done for reasonably low cost.
True.
And it really helps. It helps your rankings a lot, your SEO. And, I think that would probably be the number one thing. Once you get into, broadcast commercials, that sort of thing, that's a whole nother step in terms of budget.
Sure.
But definitely there's things you can improve without spending a lot of money.
Okay, final words. If someone wanted to follow in your footsteps, what words of advice or encouragement would you give them, Bruce Barker?
I would say meet as many people as you can who are doing the things that you want to do. Especially those that are doing them well. Of course, that's kind of a no-brainer. But say you want to get into I'll just pick a voice a voice topic. Say you want to do cartoon characters for the rest of your life. Do what you can to meet up with people, plow a little online, and try to model yourself after them. If you can get a mentor, somebody who can say, you know what, here's what you do to get this done. Just there's no shame in copying success, because that will help you be successful, I think.
Well, thank you, Bruce Barker. Give out your website and a little bit of what your company does.
It's
Go.
rightafterthis.com. That's RIGHT. Rightafterthis.com is the online presence. And we are a TV and audio production company producing everything from short, 15, 30-second radio and TV commercials all the way up to long infomercials or hour documentaries. So there you go. That's it in a nutshell.
Thanks for being with us, Bruce Barker.
You are so welcome.
You're listening to the Business Experience Show. I'm your host, Lisa Caprelli, co-host Brian Gaps. You're listening to Angels Radio AM 830 KLAA. For more information, you can go right to our website, thebusinessexperienceshow.com.